This is a new article by June 22nd, 2021. It says U.S. Senate finally admits that NeuroWeapons exists. Passes bill to help victims. Diplomat victims. Topics are CIA, directed energy weapons, Janet Phelan, Kieran Stewart, military, and NeuroWeapons. Okay. Janet Phelan, I don't know if she's a targeted individual or not. But she does write articles advocating for targets to get help. Karen Stewart actually does the same thing, but she's not a journalist. She's an ex-NSA analyst for the NSA. She worked there for 20-something years. Then she got targeted after that, and she became a TI. She's actually a victim of these directed energy weapons. This is a man, okay, who looks like, he got hit. They like to hit your head a lot. There's actually a lot of programs, medical programs, and how the brain reacts when you get hit with, whether you go through something traumatic or when you get hit with a major military weapon blow. Because these are military weapons. This is very horrible, but military they're not the only person who has these type of weapons, but they made them smaller and more handheld. But I don't think they're just as strong as military weapons. The ACLU wrote an article concerning about these directed energy weapons, that they cause very serious illnesses, diseases, and damages to your body. And they say that even some police departments have these type of directed energy weapons. There's whatever. So anything about this is nothing new to them. Janet Phelan, in a reversal of the established commentary that those claiming victimization by electronic weaponry are crazy and delusional. Anybody who try to get help because they're getting hit by NeuroWeapons or directed energy weapons, you're considered crazy and delusional, and I could see why. You're saying that the government and the military are attacking you. Well, there's already an article that came out that the military, they have a spying operation within the public, working with everyday Joes. So that's already debunked. You understand? That's already been put out there. They said 60,000, which I know it's more. It can be that less. 60,000 military contractors run their operations covertly, without nobody knowing, without you even noticing. So you could go find that article somewhere on Google. The U.S. Senate has passed a bill authorizing payment to CIA and State Department officials who have been attacked by this weaponry. Recent news reports have detailed these attacks on U.S. diplomats in Cuba and China. Right? Now, this has been going on for years, and the only way to make someone understand is what they're being hit by. They have to keep using Cuba and China, the incident that happened in Cuba and China, and I think that was a sonic microwave weapon. Dubbed the Havana Syndrome, it was recently reported that the CIA personnel have also suffered such attacks in Europe and Asia. The CIA knows everything about it. They know everything about it. They knew that even their own employees was getting attacked by it. This is not, this happened. This happened in 2016, 2019, 2020. It's been going on. Senate Bill 1828, the Helping American Victims Afflicted by Neurological Attacks Act of 2021, glory to God, or Havana Act of 2021. But this is the part that sucks. It's only meant for people who work for the government, or everyday people that do the same stuff we do. They get paid the same amount of pay. If you have a real job or, whatever, you're a normal average Joe. they're getting hit with these weapons. They die, they get sick, depending on what their what they want to do to them, if they want to kill them. And in a letter to the bill's sponsors, Senator Susan Collins, God bless her, she was a Geji, she was a woman, she was a senator. She seemed like she's really interested in this and she wants to help, but she could be, they're trying to take this narrative and try to control on what's really going on with these weapons. Still, God bless her, what's going on. But the amount of complaints and the amount, because the UN in October 20th, 2020, the UN went worldwide with this, that people are getting hit with direct energy weapons, and people are getting hit with NeuroWeapons, mind control weapons. It sounds like sci-fi, but it's not, because the UN had these weapons 30, 40 years ago. They knew about it. And just 34 years later, now they're saying, oh, this stuff is real. Jean Shaheen, former NSA analyst Karen Melton Stewart. She's been writing letters to Congress, the Senate, for years. Actually, not for years. I think she got targeted in 2008 or 2009 or 2014. I can't remember. Asked the following question: do you know that you are actually accidentally excluding a large and significant body of victims? She's not just talking about people who work for the government. This huge and significant body of victims are everyday people. Now, how does she know this? I talked to her myself. You could talk to her on Facebook. I think she has even a Twitter account. Everybody talks to her. She's a very good woman, and she's not bullcrap at all. You could even, if you're interested, you could search what she posts on Facebook, on Twitter. I don't know if she's got an Instagram. I think she does. But she writes letters like crazy. Oh, I don't know how she did it. I would have been tired writing letters. She probably had she never stopped. She goes on the Freedom for Targeted Individuals phone call support group, all of that, and you will hear how she talk, and she'll share her testimonies on YouTube. Everything's on YouTube. That was the only way to get this crime be brought into the light, is posting things on YouTube. And this is where they said it was a delusion for many years, being hit by directed energy weapons. But the CIA gets hit, and he's not crazy. And a letter dated June 2nd and also sent to Marco Rubio. This is another guy, Marco Rubio, who's saying that we need to help people who are hit by directed energy weapons. Targeted individuals was told, the community was told to write a letter to Marco Rubio. And I guess those letters and those emails really did work. Mark Warner and others, Stewart asked the senators to please write an all-encompassing piece of legislation. She always talked about this. She always said, way before this happened, because I've been looking at this for 2 years, she always said that she wants to write a special legislation for targets. And here it is. It's just so beautiful. Please write an all-encompassing piece of legislation to stop the horror of exploitation of innocent people with microwave weapons and other directed energy weapon attacks. Referring to the placement of many such individuals on the terrorist watch list. Many of these people are good people. They're very good people. But then the good people have been put on terrorist watch lists, as if they go around selling drugs. They go around causing terror to the world. They're, they have guns. God forbid, I don't even want to say this, to even lie that they rape kids. That's how bad. They're hurtful to kids. He needs to be watched, but yet there is no evidence, and there is no legal way to say that this is happening. It's just hearsay. So a lot of people since 2001, right, all the way to Obama, the terrorist watch list, the ad, the people, the watch list got bigger and bigger. It never went down. Stewart goes on to state that innocent people are thrown onto these watch lists. She talks about that a lot. She complains about the fusion centers that police have based on little to nothing. That's one of her. I just, because if you know her post and you know everything, you will know what she would say. Little to nothing, with no notification or warning, using this new secret underclass of untouchables as non-consenting test subjects for the military-industrial complex. Weaponry such as directed energy weapons like microwave millimeter waves. These millimeter waves, they're tiny. They're like, it's like a chip, and then they put a special thing on it, and it makes a. They make them look like a laser, and then when it hits you, it just hurts. Lily, and she knows a lot about this. I'm pretty sure she's been in it for years, and she understands. Lily waves, weaponized Wi-Fi. If you have an ASN, and you're trying to, if something's going on in your house, whether you're being surveilled or you're being attacked in your house by directed energy weapons, you find out you have more than one Wi-Fi. Okay, one Wi-Fi is good, two Wi-Fi is good. I think 3 is too much, but then it hits to 4,000 or 5,000. If you have 4,000 or 5,000 of Wi-Fi in your house, that's not of you. Some of these people, over the years, this crime has been going on for years. So this is what I would think what's going on. When they built her houses, because this crime has been going on for way before this. Way before this. When they built their houses knowing that somebody who's going to live here is going to get tortured and surveilled. It's called geofencing. You will have a couple thousand Wi-Fis in your house that you do not use. And that's actually, targeted individuals are actually factually proving it. And you could actually factually prove it too. So all you need is a computer. You need a computer. And you need a couple other stuff. I don't want to go deep dive into it. But if you're interested, my Instagram is JulesMixSF, and I could show you how. And when it happens to you, it's like, it's not even real. Like, this is not what you find. What you're gonna find is like, is this even real? Because you would think that, like, how do they have so much Wi-Fi in one house? You have to Google geofencing, and you can understand how they're doing it. It's insanity. It says weaponizing Wi-Fi. There is a man, God bless his heart. His name is Barry Trower. He's wonderful. He's a UK English man. He is an expert on this, on Wi-Fi. He's the same thing like the other guy, the Dr. Robert Duncan, who knew that this technology that he created was used against innocent people. He went to congressmen saying, "Hey, I built this. I studied this. I built this. This is my work, and it's being used on innocent people." Well, Barry Trower is the same thing. He was, I think, he was an army. I think he worked in the army or something. And he noticed that he has, was it 8,000, between 6,000 or 8,000 documents, scientific documents, on how bad Wi-Fi is. So, and that's how you used to kill people. That's how the government used to kill people covertly, was to use Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi we have in our house. There are some states in the United States that took Wi-Fi out of schools because it's really, really, really bad for kids. And he said, if you give a tablet to your children, or a phone to your children, to like a 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, you're stopping them from their brain developing because the radiation is hurting them. And this could be the reason why, God protect us all, kids have cancer. Radiation causes cancer. So weaponizing Wi-Fi, I thought it was like something really fake. But if you go on YouTube, you'll see that you could actually They actually really did. You just gotta put tons and tons of Wi-Fi in one house, and that's how you get cancer. As well as war-grade gases and poisons. Let's go back because I know I talked a lot. Test subjects, basically the targets, for military-industrial complex weaponry such as directed energy weapons, like microwave millimeter waves, Lily waves, weaponized Wi-Fi, as well as war-grade gases and poisons. This is war-grade. That means these are the types of stuff that, war people use. According to Stewart, or saying more, Karen Stewart, she received a response from her Maryland Senator office. That's great. But stated that the questions were being tendered to President Biden about the issue and urged her to keep sending information. They're probably just letting her on. Biden don't really give a shit. He knows what's going on. Stewart stated, and he's the one, in 2021 after the attack of 9/11, they made every single person in the U.S. as a suspect. Because they didn't know who were the terrorists, so what they did is they put everybody as a suspect. And he was there when that happened. They basically, I think he was a senator or whatever. He was still in Washington, and they actually approved the Patriot Act, which is a very stupid bill that just spied on everybody. So it's kind of weird that how it started this way and it's going to end with Joe Biden. Stewart stated that no response was received from Senators Collins, Shaheen, Rubio, or Warner. Okay. She didn't get a response. The non-consensual placement of individuals into human experimentation programs. This is real. This is not stupid. This is not false. This is human experimentation. We are in 2021. We're not in this has been going on since the 50s. People in America have been covertly being experimented since the 50s and 60s. It started really high in the 80s. That's where organized gang stalking, psychological warfare happened. In the 70s, the community church, the CIA got caught with dangerous weapons such as these, even more dangerous. This has been technology has been going on for years. Everybody acts like it just now came out. So people who've been experimenting, you need to know it. You could be experimenting in your own home. If you know the tactics and you know how they're doing it, there are many testimonies and you'll find out. Experimentation programs has a long and sordid history in the U.S. Like I said, certain experiments have been publicly acknowledged. We know that there's experiments. We know that the stuff in the air, that white stuff, is not clouds. No one's stupid here. Such as Tuskegee. She's talking about the old ones. Tuskegee experiments, which allowed African American men to go untreated for syphilis in order to observe the natural progression of disease, as well as the use of military personnel as test subjects for toxins and bioagents, again without informed consent. This is called C. Edgewood test beds. They tested on their own soldiers. They don't give a F about you. Whether you work for the military, whether you work for the government, whether you're an everyday person, they don't care. As long as they can do what they do and they can get their money, they can get the data, because the data really matters. They don't care. They'll kill you to get the data. And here's another thing. That professional, that Dr. Robert Duncan, they said they will not come out saying that they did something. Let's say the Tuskegee experiment. They'll come out after all the damage is done and say, yes, we've been doing it. And then they'll give them a couple dollars and that's it. They have to wait. And he explained that with other examples that he was given, because there's too many human experimentation in America. People that don't know about it, but it's public. However, the U.S. is generally loath to admit the degree to which it was experiment on its own citizens without the caveat of informed consent. No one said, okay, I want this to happen to me. Where do I sign? What's the legal stuff? How much you're gonna pay me? How is this gonna hurt? Is this gonna leave a scar? Does it matter if I have diabetes? No one sat down and said, hey, this is gonna happen. Nobody didn't jump in and say, hey, I want this to happen this to me. It's okay. You could do human experimentation without killing someone. You could do human experimentation without giving them cancer, without giving them disease, without killing them. You could do that. But they need the data. That's the problem. I think the data, without that data, I don't think they get paid. I don't know how it works. It's just the data. That word data is important. Experiment on its own citizens without the caveat of informed consent. The church, going way back, whatever I just said, the church and Pike hearings of the 1970s exposed the very tip of the experimentation program known as MKUltra. Now, for anybody who's reading this, I hope you care. I hope you understand. I hope I'm not overthinking. God give me wisdom. The cyber torture program, gang stalking program, or whatever you want to call it, the targeted individual program, is an extension program of MKUltra. If you go on research about it, and know that the CIA got caught doing this program in the 1970s. They said it stopped. It never stopped. It's been continuing, and it's continuing right now as I speak. MKUltra is called the Targeted Individual or Cyber Torture Program, which involve in the use of drugs as well as electricity to attempt control behavior. It's called behavior modification. Again, without the consent of the test subjects. It's without them knowing, without them being aware, without them knowing the risk. That's the wrong part. The fact that the CIA director Richard Helms panicked by the hearing's order the MKUltra files destroyed. Whatever the hearing was, there was other stuff that they destroyed and that they didn't know. Rendered a thorough investigation to a reach and extent of the program virtually impossible. So they couldn't get all the information, but some of the information they put online. Many people who gravely disappointed that the new legislation pushed through by Senator Susan Collins and Jean Sheehan failed to provide for or even mention the thousands of innocent American civilians. Wow. Yeah, because this woman knows, Karen Stewart knows, and this Janet Phelan who created this article knows that person you see off the street that has a job, that has a kid, that has a dog, they go out to eat, they go to bed, you understand? I can't believe. Well, this is the thing, they're handling the narrating. It's only happening to important people such as people who work for the government. If you're everyday Joe, you're everyday person, if you're a normal person, right? If you have it, you're schizophrenic and delusional. And that's really the sad part. But I know what's gonna come. I said it failed to provide for or even mention the thousands, there's not even thousands, I think it's millions of innocent American civilians who have also hit with these weapons inside the U.S. for years, such as Karen Stewart. She is, she's not working no more. But she's considered a citizen, civilian. I prefer to take encouragement from the fact that these public servants were so outraged by the attacks that they molded and pushed through such legislation at an impressive speed. It is a baby step in the right direction, says Jack Christiana, I don't know, who is a former legal director for Targeted Justice, which is a website that most targeted individuals who are new usually go to. Targeted Justice, and this website, the DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, they wrote a paper that's anybody who mentions gang stalk and V2K, remote neuromonitoring, and the website Targeted Justice, you have to take their, because they would targets would pass out flyers concerning this crime. And if there's any literature that talks about this, that has Targeted Justice, that's mentioned in it, they would have to take it and give it to the police, so people don't learn about it. And current legal director of Targeted America, I never seen that one. It will be easier to address this with Congress now because they have acknowledged it exists. Congress has been denying it, but I guess because, everybody's following along, I don't know. The bill anonymously passed the Senate on June 7 and goes to the House for approval. Janet Phelan has been on the trail of biological weapons agenda since the new millennium. Her book on the pandemic, at the breaking point of history, how decades of U.S. Duplicity enabled at the pandemic, will be published in 2001 by Trine Day. Her articles on this issue have appeared in activist posts, New Eastern Outlook, InfoWars. InfoWars talks about targets, but not as much as active posts, and elsewhere. Educated in Grinnell College, UC Berkeley, and she's educated. Wow, I didn't know that. She's educated at UC Berkeley, which is most of this technology, especially the medical implants and everything, the nanotech is from UC Berkeley. Well, that's what they tell. And the University of Missouri Graduate School of Journalism. Janet jumped ship and since 2004 has been writing exclusively for the independent media. Her article previously appeared in the Los Angeles Times, Aoi Magazine, Orange Coast Magazine, the Long Beach Press, Telegram, the Santa Monica Daily Press, and other publications. She's the author of Groundbreaking Exposed, Exile, and the 2 books of poetry. She resides abroad. You may follow Janet on the pile here. She's great. Anybody who wants to write for victims who can't defend themselves, give them something so the public knows, so the public doesn't get attacked and hurt from this. Well, that's the article. God bless Karen Stewart. God bless Janet Phelan. But know that this stuff is real. They put it in movies, they put it in games, they put it in all kinds of things so you don't believe them. And now we have a bill passed for just the people who work for the government. But this article does mention that the senators they failed to provide or even mention 1,000 of innocent victims, civilians who have also been hit with these weapons inside the U.S. for years. There are people, just like you and me, are getting attacked and they can't tell anyone because every time you tell something like that, you go straight in the mental house. This is if this is your first time hearing about targeted individuals, gang stalking, cyber torture is like a legal term for it now because the UN. It's because victims can't really talk about it because they're considered crazy. But since the UN came out October 20th, 2020, this should give them like, okay, this is happening to me. This should make them, here's a flyer. Directed energies are dangerous. And you get sick and you could die. Okay, I'm gonna end this.